Hello, my name is Alun. My pronouns are he, him, and today I'm facilitating what has turned out to be the finale, sadly, because I've had to curtail the series for other matters of in life down the road. So this is the finale of a very short series of Eotenweard. You want to know more about Eotenweard? Go back to session one. This is organised as part of the Open Hearth game community. If you don't know about the Open Hearth game community, then look it up on Google or go back to session one. We are playing with lines and veils, and I won't reprise them, but I will just invite the players to check those out. I've been ticking off the interested as I go. We've had slavery, we've had infection, we've had gore, we have twins, bugs, rats, and spiders. I think it may be a tall order to get all four of those into this session, but one will do one's best. But if you want it, you have some power to put it in the narrative. So I think that's all I'm going to say. I'll do a brief description of where we are, and then ask the players just to begin describing our issue. Because last time, after a side quest to quieten an unquiet spirit, which was done with a bolt of cloth, an unusual approach, but it worked very well. Our heroes have arrived in the Mercian village of Linbeck. They created this last time. Linbeck is the land of Lord Bjornfrith, who's honest. He has a pair of children, the male heir, Sinewolf, and the female sibling, who is his champion. And she is Calwiga, and we know she's dishonest.
Could they be twins?
They might
Yeah,
be twins, for all
I
we
think they're
know.
twins.
Then, thank you, we've ticked off twins. So the twins, Calwiga and Sinewolf, it's a shame they're different genders, or we could perhaps have had all kinds of shenanigans. But there you go. We have a young loon called Sig and a dangerous healer called Yada. So this is our kind of supporting cast, but I'd like to kick off with just getting a feel for this place, because so far we know that some of the buildings of this village have been burned, because I'm looking at signs and portents on the Linbeck tab from last time. Some of the buildings have been burned down, but remain standing, but they may be dangerous. There's a tragedy here, and that has led to Arianwen, our own loon, feeling pain and concern at that. And Sister Sal, our demon in the human seeming of a nun, has had a premonition of a husk of a building collapsing onto a child. So before I go any further, I wonder whether Solinus, who is joining us at this point, Solinus, is there anything that, as you look down on the village of Linbeck, that you see that concerns you, or you feel, or that reminds you of some premonition, vision, or previous
Uh,
belief?
I think that Solinus is on his pilgrimage across the Isles, and that God's path has drawn him here, and that God's path always draws him to where something bad is going to happen, and perhaps to companions who will be their own form of trial for Solinus to go through. I noticed we have a demon among us.
We do. Is there anything about the village that suggests why God has guided your path here?
I see. I think that what there is about the village, it's the twins. I've been seeing, signs of twos of ever since I set off on this leg of my journey. Twin birds fighting in the air and falling together. Two fish, when I fish in the river, are always finding two of a kind. Everything comes in twos at this point, it seems.
Fine, I like that. So that firms up our twins. I thank you for that. So I need to know where does something begin to really concretely reveal what's going on here? So I'm looking at the arriving tab and the shadows manifest. I think I might have asked. I don't think I asked Kellen or Sinner Kellen. I want to know where this inciting incident that you're going to experience happens. Is it just outside the settlement's border, within the boundary somewhere in the village, or in the Great Hall, maybe when you're receiving some hospitality?
I think it's just outside the borders, closer to the water. Maybe even in the water.
Well, let's have you near the estuary. Yeah? Because we know there's a large estuary here, and we know it's going to be unpredictable. Let me ask Arianwen.
Yes.
What is the form of the inciting incident? Is there a heated conversation between NPCs? Does something supernatural occur? Does someone or something make a surprise or unexpected entrance? Or is something even more flavorful or interesting going to happen?
There is an enormous wave that comes out of the water and
There's
probably
don't give me
tries
don't give me too much detail, because you
Okay.
get wave, somebody else gets detail. So there is a wave approaching out of the estuary, and it is, I'm assuming, much bigger or noticeable. Let me ask Black Sal, who has an eye to the supernatural. Do you think that this is a supernatural event or not?
It is supernatural.
What hints at its supernatural nature?
Stal can see white horses in the froth, in the foam, the crest of the wave.
Okay. And then Solinus. What happens before any of you can act?
A child fishing in the river is swept up in the surge and is carried off in the estuary.
So there is a child in danger. This wave rolls in with these foam horses, or at least Sal can see that. Maybe the rest of you don't. And a child who was fishing threw a net out, went out to pull in the net, and this wave has crashed over them. Kellen, what do you do?
I think I'm simply gonna wade out into the water, and I'm gonna essentially call to the water to bring the child back.
Okay, well, I think that let's have you face a challenge to get out there first, and then we'll come back to maybe you using a miracle or a wonder. So face a challenge. It sounds fundamentally roll plus steal to me, unless you've got a better offer for me.
Steal sounds good.
Or you could always roll with favor, and all it does is cost you favor if...
Where is my thing?
You'll be on the Heroes tab.
I'll go with steal. I'll need the favor for actually helping the child in the end.
Okay, so let's have you roll with that.
8.
8. There it is. So on an 8, you succeed. So you've got out to a place near enough to the child. I pick 1. I think that the appropriate complication here is that it's very difficult to maintain your footing. So I will put you at disadvantage. What about Solinus?
Kellen Kellen's waded out into the water, and has, is it disadvantage? Is it trying
Yeah.
to? But as they sort of wrestle with the youth in the against the
Hasn't
wave.
yet, has located themselves close enough to, I think the plan is Kellen is going to use a miracle or wonder to try and get the child back. I don't know, but
Well, Solinus will run down the riverbank, trying to head off the if it surges again, try and get up further up downstream.
downstream. So this is about getting somewhere quickly, isn't it? So it sounds like face
Maybe
that.
more about getting to the right spot.
Okay, so you want to pick a place where you think you could, if this goes pear-shaped, to get somewhere. Okay, so I was going to offer you steal or sense. I think you're taking sense.
Yes, I'm taking sense. Put 2 in sense. It's a 10.
A 10. So this goes very well. You pick one. I would suggest that there's nobody here apart from the child who is maybe in a difficult position to see anything. So I'm going to suggest that grants you advantage.
Cool.
Yeah.
I will. Is there any way I can perhaps, like, as I run towards it, like yell out to Kellen to pass that advantage back to them?
There's been a subtle change in that. If it was at disadvantage, anyone can exploit it. If you're at an advantage, it's yours. Arianwen, what about you? People are running hither and yon so far. What are you doing?
Well, they're all running out to get the child, right?
Yeah.
So it doesn't make any sense for me to do that. Is there anybody else around?
Look about you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm going to see if there's anyone else around to call for help. Maybe we can get downstream in case something happens. And
well, I think Solinus is looking to put himself in a position where he can be the fallback. So yes, let's have you look about you to see whether there's anybody else in the vicinity that you might be able to call on. So roll plus sense, unless you've got a better idea.
No, that's all right. I got an 11.
Oh, well. So on a 7 plus, I will tell you something relevant. I think, would you be interested in one of our NPCs being in the vicinity? And if so, which one?
Let me look at them again.
Sig the young Loon, the dangerous healer. It must be said, none of them are a particularly, child-friendly bunch.
No, none of them look like they'd actually be great at helping. But I think there are a couple of people whose reputation that matters to them. And so I'm going to pick Calwiga.
Fine. Calwiga's in the vicinity. Before I ask you what you're going to do about that, let me go to Black Sal and get an initial reaction.
Well, the omens are strong. Calwiga. So this is the dishonest.
The dishonest champion.
Oh, yeah. Why not? Let's. Thanks for putting her in there. That is brilliant, Arianwen. I'm going to confront them with mockery. Look, new people arrive at your village, and we have to save your children. Call yourself a champion.
What is your objective here? What are you hoping?
Oh, I never got that far.
Okay. Well, I suppose what I'm trying to work out is what reaction are you trying to achieve?
I want to sort of cow them and maybe so that they appreciate me a bit more.
Okay.
So maybe belittle them in front of people. I mean, it could go completely wrong and they could draw a large axe.
Yeah, well, I think this is the village's champion, and you are a nun. And it is a Saxon champion in a Saxon village. So I think that you are looking to convince them, or whatever move you want to use, at disadvantage.
But I roll at advantage anyway.
Because you've got that demon's tongue.
Yes.
Go on then.
Do you want me to seem human?
The advantage will cancel out the disadvantage I put you in, so it's just 2d plus.
Do you want me to roll seeming human first?
Well, no, we'll see. We'll see what happens.
Because that can affect it.
Yeah, it might go down the road, but it's out of this encounter. Will you be spotted as a bad one?
8.
8. So on an 8 to convince them, sometimes they agree. I think the reaction is you're goading her by saying, how come it's taking strangers to rescue a child?
Yeah.
And I think she says, well, demonstrate your quality then. You rescue them.
We will.
Fine. And
what does that give me?
That doesn't they feel small, but their reaction to that is to, as it says in the move, say what they expect of you now or later.
And I get nothing from them.
You get from them no. I think that socially you've established a bit of superiority over her.
Superb.
Yeah. Not enough to grant you an advantage, but a bit of fictional positioning. So let's go back to Cinna, right? So all of this has happened in moments. What do you do now that you're out there on slightly uncertain footing, Cinna? Kellen.
I've got my heavy skirts all gathered up as I'm wading further and further out into the water, and I'm gonna start essentially singing at the top of my lungs. It's not good singing, but it's the right kind of singing, and essentially just telling the horses to bring the child back.
Okay, so have a look on row 83, 84. Which of those effects fits your intention? Because if it was communicate with someone or something without words, for instance, then that would establish communication with those horses, so you could try to convince them. If this was about banishing those horses,
could I summon the horses to me carrying the child, or is that a stretch?
I think that's a stretch.
Right.
I think that, yeah. I think what I'd allow you to do is you can do that. If you succeed at summoning, a mixed success might mean that they come, but the child is not in as much danger.
In that case, I'd rather be arguing with them, so I'll go to communicate with them.
Fine. So let's have you invoke your. Where's it gone? So invoke your gift. I know what you're hoping will happen. Roll plus favor.
Oof.
Ow. Is that looks like a 4 to me.
It's a 6.
Right.
Same thing.
Same thing. Okay. Well, I'll mark a bit of shade because I always like a bit of shade when people fail. And what it says is, on a 6-, expect the worst.
This was a gift, wasn't it? I can't insist on a gift.
No, you can't. No, gifts and favor are out of bounds.
I definitely would have helped.
It's good to know.
I believe you.
And I think these horses intuit your desire, but are offended by it. And so they roll over you. We'll come back to you in a moment in terms of what the consequence of that is. Solinus, this churning, unpredictable, foaming wave has now left the child in clearer waters. So Cinna, however, is now being assaulted by waves. What do you do? Because you are decently placed now with that advantage to do something.
The child's still in the water, though, right?
Yeah, but not in immediate danger now.
Not in immediate danger.
Still needs rescuing.
Cinna needs rescuing. I will. What does I have? I could steal something from them. Sinner needs rescuing. Could I have like a rope on me?
I don't see why not.
Yeah, I'll bundle a rope and throw it towards Sinner, and yell, "Hold on, girl!"
Um, uh, I think, we cut to Sal and Calwiga watching this as if in the spectator box. And at the moment when the wave pounds into Kellen, Calwiga looks at you and says, "As confident as you were, Christian." So Solinus, I know you'll want me to say that this is about where you put the rope, but I think the bottom line is that this will steal.
Yeah, sure, yeah. Which I have a flat 0 in, I believe. However, do I not have
Advantage.
Yeah, so that's 3.
You are well placed.
Yeah. That's a 9.
Ooh, look at that then. So on a 9, that works. You succeed. That this young person grabs hold. I'm going to make them a young person because then I don't get worried about my lines and veils on children.
I know. As I said it, I was like, oh, forgot. But yeah.
So the young person grabs hold of this rope. What is the downside? It takes longer than you'd hoped, and that matters because it means that Ariane, when you're going to need some help, I think is the way I'm going to do this. Yeah, you need some help. They've got the rope, but the currents here are so dangerous that you're going to need help to get them out.
Yeah, and I will look over my shoulder at Black Cell and Ariane and I'll say, "You there? What are you doing arguing with that mad woman? Get over here and help."
I'm not arguing with her.
No, you're not. So what do you do, Ariane? Because
leap into the water.
Love it. With the intention of doing what?
Who needs help the most?
So swim out towards the young person who's on the rope.
Yes.
Yeah, I like that. I mean, this is an unpredictable estuary, so I'm going to make you roll with disadvantage to swim out there. So let's have you roll 3d6, take the bottom 2, and unless you've got a better offer, I'm thinking steal.
Nope. So the estuary is not malevolent, right?
I don't know. These waves are not behaving in a friendly way.
Are they outside the laws of God?
I don't think you have evidence of that yet.
No, because if they do, I will hit them with my stick. I just might hit them with my stick anyway.
The horse. No, I tell you what, I'm not going to make you a disadvantage because the horses are now focused on Kellen. So you've got some still water in the same way that the child is not in immediate danger. So you can have a flat roll with steel to swim out and help the child, help the young person.
Right. Well, if the waves were troubling me, I would hit them with my stick.
Oh, I'm sure that you're whacking them as you wade out, but
yes, I'm delivering them a few barbed glances. So here we go. 9.
So that is success, but I think that it takes quite a lot of effort. You've not displayed an enormous amount of physical prowess so far, so I think I'm going to mark harm on that. So mark 1 harm. I don't know what the harm position is. Oh, I think Sal's in dire straits actually, but yeah.
Well,
so
let's not go that far.
I'm feeling pretty good.
Yeah, so just mark wearied then, Ariane, which takes me back to Kellen. So Kellen, we cut to you, and it's one of those underwater shots where you suddenly you seem to be in deep water. And I think let's have a look. I think this is a larger than mortal scale. 2 harm. As you splutter to the surface, but they do seem to be focused on you now. So Ariane has got out to the young person. So Solinus, I think you have advantage to drag them both to shore if you want it.
Sure. I mean, one less getting the victim out of the water is the most important part, right?
And unless Black Sal wants to do anything particular at this point.
Oh yes, I do, but it won't affect. I'll try and save. I'll try and save Kellen. So
Okay, so you're gonna right. I'll come back to you
you
in a
go
moment.
ahead, Will.
Yeah,
Okay,
go ahead. Go ahead, Solinus.
that's 7.
7. So on a 7, you pull them out. Let's just give you wearied because it's quite hard work pulling them out of the water, the pair of them. So
Feels like I'm pulling against a pack of wild horses.
there's something odd about this water
Yeah.
because we know it's an unpredictable estuary at best. So I think that there is a sense in which you will see, as well as the horses which are kind of plunging around Kellen, we'll see some smaller water horses around Arianwen and this fisher folk, but you drag them out. So, Kellen, you're in the water, but I'm going to go to Black Sal first to see what Sal wants to do now.
I don't know if this is an assist or I could just do it with favor.
Go on.
I am going to internalize. You have proved your superiority over this Celtic, my lord. Now call your servants off and return them to the shore.
And by my lord, who exactly are we talking about here?
Well, we're not talking the one above.
Okay, because you do have a relationship with both upstairs and downstairs now, don't you?
Well, I do, yeah. We'll go downstairs first, because that could help Ariane win now that it is shown that it is not God's will.
Yeah, fair enough. So is this trying to assuage the pain of that's under the water here? Because I am struck by the fact that when we had this conversation about your origins, your lord's power is beneath the waters.
It is indeed, yes. So this is definitely the work of my lord.
Fine. So let's see if you can invoke your pain's balm then. Yeah, and apply that to probably your lord's servants, whatever. Yeah. Invoke your gift, roll plus favor.
A 3 and a 3 plus 2, 8.
8. So on 7 plus, spend favor. 7 to 9, the fates picks 1. Ooh, attract unwelcome attention. I think. Yeah, I haven't quite worked out what that looks like yet, but attract unwelcome attention. So the water horses disperse. Their anger, their negative feelings towards Kellen disperse with the help of your soothing their pain away. And Kellen, what do we see as the water stills?
Well, of course, Kellen is absolutely drenched and furious. Great deal of good I managed to do.
Are you thinking of expressing your burden of wrath here? And if so, what are you? Because being a bit annoyed is not wrath. No, keep that in your back pocket. Fair enough.
I'm just pissed as I'm squeezing out my skirts all the way around.
Fine. And we see Arianwen, and Solinus has dragged Arianwen and this young person out of the waters, up onto the bank. And they roll over and they look up at Arianwen and say something like, "Oh, that was like flying."
It was, wasn't it?
It was. I've never experienced anything like it. Can you fly?
No, I try sometimes on Tuesdays.
And but in the middle of you being interested in explaining anything to him, he turns towards Solinus and says, "What about you? Can you fly?"
Only in my prayers, boy.
And then he looks over, I think, probably at Kellen, and says, "Well, she wouldn't be able to fly. She's too wet." And then he scampers off towards the village, flapping his wings.
I like him.
We already have one of those.
Yeah, you do. That's Sig the Loon.
You never asked me because I do know a man with wings.
Jesus.
So Calowiga turns to you, and there's a reluctant kind of nod from her that you did save him, but I have to say the village would be better off without him. He's loose in the head.
He's still one of God's children.
Oh.
Raised an eyebrow as black.
I give her a fisheye, and I say, "Are you a bad person?"
Yes, yes.
Are you Oh, sorry. Was that addressed to Sal or to Calowiga? I wasn't certain.
Calowiga.
Calowiga.
I know what Sal is.
Are you saying that you think I'm a bad person?
I'm
And
asking.
you see her just settling the axe on her shoulder, to just kind of making sure it's there.
I'm asking a question, says Ariane in this kind of odd way, her strange way.
I think the only question the only way I can play this is to say she's going to say no, but what do you think? What impression has Ariane been left with?
She thought it would be better if a kid died. She's a terrible person. I've just learned how not to scream at people.
And Calowiga laughs heartily, turns around, and heads back to the village. I think I'm prepared to offer an insight out of that. I think I'm going to offer Black Sal an insight on the grounds that Sal spent most of that scene observing events. So, Sal, is there an insight that you'd like to?
Yes. Somebody in the village has made a bargain. ...
Someone in the village has made a bargain.
It's not 2 horses for a sheep. Although that would be a bargain.
Good bargain.
What next then? Because I'm just thinking, Solinus, a vision of twins. What are you thinking here?
I'm thinking that we see what's they called? Sinwolf, no, Calowiga, be greeted by Sinwolf at the gates to Linbeck.
And it's very clear, though one is male, one is female, they are clearly twins. What's the single feature that makes it absolutely apparent that they are twins? Arianwen?
I think
eyes, facial features, hair, what is it that makes it absolutely clear to us?
The way they move.
Oh, right.
I mean, she's kind of more muscular than he is because of training, but they move just the same way and almost in synchrony with each other. I mean, which is, a learned thing, right? Probably from when they were children. But they leave off talking at this exact same moment, and then they walk, side by side up to the village, and you can tell, that these are people who have kind of mimicked each other's movements for a very long time.
Solinus, that's what gives us a look. I'm curious, how does Cinewolf's reaction to either to Calowiga, to the events that have just unfolded, or to Sig the young Loon? Characterize his character.
I think that he scowls as Sig runs past him and shakes his head, and as they walk back into the settlement with Calwiga. I think Calwiga's got a sort of like that amused sort of like smile on their face, the disdainful one. Stonewall looks back at us on the riverbank with a look that would kill.
Right. So, Sal, let's go to seeming human, shall we? Because I think you've had a significant interaction with somebody quite important here. So,
certainly.
So
3d6.
Well, hang on. Though you clothe yourself, blah 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 blah. The first time in the session, yeah, fine. Roll plus favor.
Yeah, and I do it always at advantage.
Tell me why.
Because I took that as the improvement.
Ah, right. Okay. Ah, yes. Oh, have you marked that down?
Yes, under improvement.
Ah, yeah. And sorry, I've seen it. Yeah, beg your pardon. Go ahead. 3d6.
A 6, a 2, and +1, so 9.
9. So on a 7 to 9, we'll cut to Calwiga saying there's something funny to her brother. There's something odd about these people. Keep an eye on them. And there's a kind of bristling in Sinulf as if to say, why should I keep an eye on them? I'm the heir. You're the champion. You keep an eye on them. But I think it does mean that this inexplicable suspicion will put you at disadvantage for social roles, as you might have expected. Have we got any other start a session moves? Because I know we've got remember the font of your power, but there's also I dreamed a dream, Helen.
Where is?
It's on roll 40.
There you are.
Roll 2d6, and these are potential replacements. A 4 and a 2, which I think is better than the 1 and the 2 you got last time.
Yep.
So that is a straightforward 6. Oh gosh, no, it's worse than that, isn't it? On a 6. On a 7 plus, make a note of both dice. On a 6 minus, the Fates gains a hold to spend to place you at disadvantage later in the session. Oh, I'll forget about that, but I'll try to remember. So yeah, I dreamed a dream. No, you didn't. None of this makes any sense. Maybe it's just you got water in your ears. Arianwen, how do you begin to try to determine how the darkness is manifesting here? I.e., how do you seek out an insight?
I think I want to go to talk with some of the people
Okay.
in there. And the Lord of the Hall if he's around, but I'll take the healer.
Fine. So what is Iada, our healer, doing when you find her?
She is cutting herbs in her garden.
Fine. Seen me. What do you say? What do you do? And then we'll work out how she responds.
Do you have any comfrey? I really like it.
And she turns and looks at you, and there's a hardness in her eyes. She says, "You're not from around here, are you?"
I think so.
What do you use comfrey for?
Oh, I use it to make tea.
What's the tea good for?
It's good for calming people who are really bunched up.
then you can grow your own tea.
But I don't want to.
I provide what this village needs. I don't need anyone else coming here and muscling in.
I'm not a healer. I'm a saint. Don't tell anyone.
And she kind of stands back, looks at you, and says, "Oh, I
Oh,
see."
you probably can't tell because I'm so wet. But honest, if I were dry, you could tell.
Okay.
I
She's
like you.
she's clearly suspicious of you. She's clearly not a particularly friendly individual. What do you want to achieve out of this conversation?
I want to find out why she's angry.
Okay.
Because clearly she is.
I think this is look about you.
Okay.
So sense or favor if you want to risk some favor.
That's good. Well, it would be good in certain circumstances.
But not particularly these. Mark
No.
shade and expect the worst. Okay, so let me see. I think that it's time. Fire! Comes the cry. What do you do, Kellen? Somebody's shouting, "Fire! Fire! Bring water!"
I'm just gonna run outside, I guess.
Well, you're all outside. You're in the village.
Yeah.
Arianna went off to talk to this healer. The rest of you are just around the village. And in that moment, when Arianna is making inquiries, the cry of fire goes round, and you can just see, you smell it. You see a wisp of smoke from one of the huts.
Uh,
People are beginning to form a kind of bucket chain of some description down to the estuary.
I guess I'll join the chain.
Fine, fine. Black Sal, what about you when the shout of fire goes up?
Well, we've had flood. Now we have fire. All is good. I will run to the scene of the fire.
Fine, fine. Solinus, what about you?
I will follow Black Sal to the scene of the fire.
Fine. And it seems to have taken off really quickly. The thatch is aflame. There are, people trying, some people have just grabbed some stuff and brought it outside, and this bucket chain is forming with Kellen in it to try and begin to bring some water up. So that's what you'll see. What do you want to do when you're there, Solinus?
I grab hold of the nearest villager and I say, "Is there anyone inside?"
I don't know. I don't know. And they go off to join the bucket.
I swear and run for the door.
Run for the door. Just straight through the door and see what happens. See what you can see.
I'm a hero, right?
Like, you are a hero,
yeah.
and you're on a pilgrimage. You think God brought you here? Maybe it was for this.
Yeah.
Black Sal, Solinus runs inside, and the smoke and the flames just slow down as if in jelly and cease. And there's a voice behind you that says, "What are you doing here, Sal, as an emissary of your lord and master?" Comes to remind you who the font of your power is. Remind them and us of a cruelty you once inflicted on Hell's behalf, and roll plus favor.
Well, the cruelty was I washed away a villager's sin in a similar situation to this. White horses flooded through the town and when they were gone, there was not a soul alive.
And you get the feeling that that is something to do with why they are particularly interested, because you just calmed conceivably some of your lord's horses down. So let's see how that goes. Roll plus favor.
5.
That does not go well. As 7 to 9, but face a challenge in impressing them at disadvantage. So it's a female voice, a chittering female voice that in your ear says, "You will have to do better, Sal, if you wish to channel the power of our Lord. We want to see you show your true self. We know that you are trying to sit within this group of mortals to further our Lord's aim. But do better. Do his works." And so you need to do a cruel or malicious act that mocks mortals and their puny faith before the end of this session. But you will have to roll to face the challenge of impressing your lord at disadvantage when the time comes. And then the flames are roaring again. Solinus, you burst inside. There's smoke. It's dark anyway. There's no window into this space. What do we see you doing? And then I might go to face a challenge. I don't know.
Poke around. I look about me to see if there is.
Look about you. Fine.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to put you at disadvantage on the grounds that conditions in there are pretty poor. So go for it.
That is a 7.
Ooh, went the crowd.
Disadvantage.
Do you want
3-2 and then
3-2 and yeah?
Okay, so good.
So look about you. I'm interested in what you find in there. What do you find? Or would you like me to tell you?
No, I think this is Sig the Loon again. Is inside this burning building. Something seems to be after Sig, I would say.
So yeah, what is Sig doing?
I think that Sig is trying to digging furiously at something oblivious to the fire around him, something that he's buried within the dirt beneath, like a dirt patch within the
So
earth.
he's digging. He's
Trying to
digging.
get something out, basically.
Maybe he's trying to escape.
Yeah, it could be. Who knows, right? But
So he's digging.
Yeah.
And what do you do?
Puffing the smoke, I stumble towards him as I think, like a piece of thatch like crashes down between us. But there's also a building collapsing onto a child is a premonition, right? So
It is.
yeah, and I lunge towards him and I go like, "Come on, boy! Didn't save you from the water just for you to be burned to death."
Okay, well, this building is going to fall on him, but let's use the protect someone move.
Mm-hmm.
So when you want to protect someone, say what you do. So what do we see you doing? Is this just dragging him out?
I think way more dramatic than that, I think it is like ducking under that thatch as it collapses, right, and rolling, and as he's digging away, I just scoop him up and I just gonna barge straight through a wall or something, like something weak that I can go through.
Fine, that sounds like roll plus steal.
Yeah. Disadvantage still?
No, I don't think so. Not for this one. I think disadvantage to see what you could see.
That is a 3, a fail.
I think that you try to make your way, you kind of barge through the wall, and it turns out to be more solid than you thought. Gosh, compared to last week, shade is going.
Could I suggest that as I dash towards that wall, part of the roof just collapse on me and I'm pinned now beneath it.
I have an idea. Let me leave that one on the shelf and come back to you. Kellen, you saw Solinus from your place, 4 people down the bucket chain, and water is just beginning to arrive. You saw Solinus go in, and you can see the roof beginning to collapse. What, if anything, do you do, Kevin? Oh, you are muted.
I think I'm just crestfallen from failing to save even a single person earlier. I'm gonna leave this one to the people who haven't failed yet today.
Keep the water moving. Keep the water moving. Arianwen, all this happened while you were at the Garden of the Healer. You turn around and see, everyone's running that way. When you arrive just in time to see Solinus dash inside, and then bits of the roof begin to fall in. What, if anything, do you do?
I have to go in after him.
Fine.
I'm
In
a
you
saint.
go.
God will protect me from fire.
Okay.
Also, I'm still wet. Maybe that will help.
Maybe that can't do any harm, can it?
No.
So
I'm going to see if I can't thread my way in there without having pieces of roof fall on me.
And I think that's what you aim to do. But inevitably, there's a roof timber that's come down with burning thatch on it. On the other side of that is Solinus and young Sig, and you are on this side of it. Before I describe what else happens in there, Sal, what, if anything, do we see of you at this point?
I'm going to try and lob a bucket of water because I'm right at the front. So as a bucket comes up at those burning parts of thatch to try and assist
Fine.
Arianwen to get in there.
So I think fictional positioning for water assist. Arianwen, Solinus. We've marked enough shade for me to manifest the darkness. A manifestation of the darkness strikes a settlement or one of its people. Solinus, you dragged him away so he wasn't crushed under that kind of falling beam. But you do see that fire is flowing towards him like water. And that's where we'll take our first break. So back in our seats, 5 past the hour. Is that long enough? Fine. I'll pause off. So we come back to that point where the fire has taken on a life of its own, an unnatural life of its own, Solinus. It's heading in your direction because on your side of this fallen beam is the boy Sig, the young man Sig. So what do you do? And then I'll go back to Arianwen.
I grab hold of Sig and I roll so that my body is between him and the fire.
Okay, I'm not going to make you roll for that. I think that's just about fictional positioning. Arianwen, this flame is clearly not behaving naturally. It should be burning up, but in fact, it's now moving along the earth floor where there is nothing burnable. What do you do, Arianwen?
I'm going to screech at it. Don't you dare get back, evil thing. Go burn something else, and I will, if necessary, I will hit it with my stick.
So I'm just trying to think whether there is
itching to hit something with my stick.
You have been itching.
I mean,
do you want to activate the sight so you might see what there is to hit?
Yes, absolutely.
Because hitting the fire with your staff is a good way to end up with a burned staff, I think.
It is.
So let's have you invoke your gift.
I didn't say I thought this through, but I will invoke my gift.
Fine. So roll plus favor. And what you want to do is to see what is there here that you can hit.
Right. I'm seeing the truth. I got a 9.
Oh, right. So on a 7 to 9, you succeed. Spend favor. You attract only complicated. Give us more time than you expected. I think that the unwelcome attention is that whatever it is clearly senses your observation and its attention drifts from Solinus and Sig towards you. Perhaps rather the way that those horses shifted their attention, those water horses, towards Kellen. So Arianwen, it stops flowing towards Sig and starts flowing towards you. And there is how can I describe this? There is a small, squat, dark figure. Difficult to make out the features because it's so shadowy, but it's got bat-like wings, and it's beating its wings towards you now, which is moving the fire in your direction. So there is something there to hit.
You can't hide from the sight of God, malevolent thing, I say, and I crack it over its little head or whatever that is on top.
Okay, so this is to render it properly corporeal, so that its defense is incorporeal. And I need to know, is this calling on God? So do you want to roll with favor, or do you want to roll with steel?
Well, the steel would be the actual hitting.
Well, because of
I'll
what you
roll with
said, I'm
steel.
offering you favor if you want it.
No, I'll roll with steel because
Fine.
this thing is clearly outside the laws of God.
It is. I think there's
So
no question about that.
So my steel's not great, but I do get advantage.
Fine. Roll with advantage.
Because the fist of God is the fist of angry righteousness gets a 9.
Well, that's not bad. Good old God. It's good to see that God is still doing his thing.
I would like to try and assist.
Yeah, well, I was going to say, do you want to throw water in here? That was what you were doing, wasn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
Arianwen is clearly, by the way, pointing and shouting at something that only she can see.
So yeah, let's have you help another hero. This does sound like steel or sense to know where to put it.
I think it's a lob in, so steel.
Fine.
Seven.
7. So on a 7+, their outcome improves by 1 step. So 9 becomes a 10. So that's success with no cost. 7 to 9, you suffer any consequences of the original move instead of them. So I think that they will use a power, and you throw water in, Black Sal, but a kind of fist-like extension of fire bursts away from entirely unnatural. Instead of these flames going up, they suddenly come at you. So I will inflict 1 harm on you. You're taking a kicking over time. But Arianwen, you're 10. So on a 7+, so they are now properly corporeal. So Solinus will now see them. And on a 7+, they've used their power. So what do you want? Do you want to force them to wear their disadvantage? Do you want to reduce harm by 1? No harm to you. Block all harm? None. Do you want to impress an observer enough for them to owe you a debt? Or do you want to immediately gain the opportunity to humble them if they now have no defense? Their only defense was incorporeal. This little servant. Humble them.
Put this nasty thing in its place.
Fine. Let's have you roll to humble them. So again, more beating with a stick.
I think so.
Fine.
Things just have to be hit with a stick.
Solinus is in a position to aid you were this not to go as well as you'd like, just to be clear. So humble them. Roll plus steel.
11.
Okay. So on 10+, on 7+, they're at your mercy. Do you spare them or end them?
This is a nasty fire thing that was trying to kill a little child. I am going to send it to the realm, the awful realm it came back
From whence it came.
with
right.
a headache.
Okay, say what they give you or what you take from them or their remains. So I can offer you, I don't think gear is appropriate. I think charm or trophy that might grant you advantage, or
Yes,
an undefined insight.
An undefined insight. Ooh, I'll take it on find insight.
Make a note of it because I will forget.
Right.
Solinus, you see this happen. And once it goes, the fire becomes much less intense. It goes back to being an ordinary fire. And I don't think there's any question that you'll have any difficulty now getting out with Sig. But I think you being the person watching this, is there an insight to be had out of these events?
Uh, uh, Sig is the target of eldritch forces.
I tell you what, shall we say eldritch forces? Do you want the force? Do you want to tie it down to Sig at this point?
Yes, I do. Yeah.
Okay, fine. Sig is the target of eldritch forces. I mean, it is quite difficult to come to any other conclusion at this point, I think.
And we've got one session to do this in.
You do. So let's not overcomplicate it. Fair enough. Fair enough. So, the Bucket Brigade brings the fire under control, Kellen. There is this conversation that explains, and Sig is over there playing in the ashes, painting faces on his face or on the back of his hand. What, if anything, what do you want to do to seek another insight? Because at the moment we have someone in the village has made a bargain. Sig is the target of eldritch forces. So at the moment you would be rolling for a revelation. I might increase that to 3. Actually, I might drop my shade, my level of shadow to if it looks like we won't get done. But I think I want to entice you to more places and more things. So Kellen, where do you want to go in search of an insight into the darkness that stalks this place? Do you want to talk to someone, do something, or visit somewhere?
I'm just kind of drawing a blank. I'm sorry.
It's okay. It's okay. Let me ask Sal then, because I think we've had Ariane when visited the healer, and Solinus has got involved in both rescues. So Sal, do you want to talk to somebody? Do you want to go somewhere? Do you want to do something?
Well, I'll pull my sisters together.
And Solinus.
And Solinus, looking at the man, calls himself a man. Something tells me that the island we saw earlier, friends, is a source of power for somebody here. I suggest we somehow get out to that island and see what is going on. What say you, sisters 2 and brother?
Might be a crazy idea, but I know this might be a crazy idea, but what about a boat? Oh, and by the way,
never has such a crazy person talked so much of so lunacy. Of course, we can take a boat, Ariane.
Oh,
yes,
great, good, because I got kind of wet enough already, and if we were going to swim out there, anyway, did you know the healer is really angry about something? Couldn't tell what because there was a fire.
Clearly, we will put it on our list of
suspects.
Perhaps we could ask the Lord to lend us a boat.
Who is this boy? That they should want to kill him because somebody wants that. He must be special.
Well,
special or expendable?
Special. I think.
Well, I mean, is there something you want to do, Arianwen, that might allow you to have an insight that explained
Yes,
or answered your question?
I want to talk to Lord Bamford.
And Solinus wants to talk to Lord Bainfrith about borrowing a boat.
Oh, that's a good thing. So we could both talk to him. Brilliant.
Solinus looks dubiously at being accompanied by Aaron when to talk and goes, "Yeah, I'm sure you'll really charm him."
Well, you can ask for your boat, and then I'll just ask him a question.
What about Sal? Because it looks like the idea of the island is getting traction.
It is a go at, well, they may need some backup in the Lord's Hall. And I truly think with Arianwen and Kellen could probably do with drying themselves off on the Lord's around the Lord's fire
Nothing
to only
else.
then go in the river again. But
Oh,
yeah,
that's a great idea.
to the Lord's Hall then to ask permission to borrow a boat to dry and whatever comes our way.
So the Lord's Hall is a rectangular building. It's thatched. It has a long fire pit in the middle, a slightly raised area at one end where there's a seat of judgment, and a number of benches around. And I think, as we've established, Calwiga and Cinewolf are arguing about nothing. And their father is kind of looking on in a slightly kind of bemused manner when you arrive. So, do you want to open?
Can I bring the Loon with us? Can I bring Sig?
Sig, you want to bring Sig? Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. No.
Worried, I don't want to, seeing how two supernatural things have tried to kill him. I worry about him being on his own. You know.
Fair enough. That works for me. So, so you've got Sig in tow. Do we want to talk about Sig and stuff, or do we want to talk about a boat? What's the opening? Solinus, you want to start with the mundane boat question,
Yeah,
or do you want to get there?
The reason that we want to go to the island is because supernatural forces are targeting a member of his village. So I think that like that's step one in terms of the practicalities of it, right? And I will go,
Well, a moment, my friend. Supernatural forces are targeting him.
yes, my
He's
lord.
at the root of all this.
He is the victim of all of this, my lord.
And he looks at Calwiga, he looks at Cinewolf. Shut up, you two. We've had a number of unexplained fires, and now he has definitely been associated with this one. Arianwen, it looked like you were wanting to intervene
Yes.
then, or go on.
Interject inappropriate. Yes. I say, Lord Bamford, isn't it time that you told everyone who Sig really is?
I think I need you to look about you, Arianwen, to see
Yes.
if what kind of reaction this.
You react to that statement
Yes,
that I just pulled out of the air.
yes. Go for it.
All right, here we
Roll
go.
plus sense.
Pick. I
Um,
am hitting it today.
You are.
That's convinced them, so I could help here.
No, it was look about you, but yeah,
Yeah. Okay, a bit harder. Assist look about.
it is.
Well, maybe you could see something I did.
Well, yeah. Well, yeah. I don't want to steal the role off you.
Well, the
yes.
role at the moment is not one worth having.
No.
Okay. Oh, yeah. I
It's
could
about to
assist on that
morph
one.
into. It's about to morph into speaking in tongues.
I
I'll assist because Ariane can then still take it.
Yeah, exactly.
So, yes.
So I think
Sister, spin round and look in this direction, maybe.
well, it's a whispered. Did you notice? So roll plus sense to help another hero.
12.
12, two very different rolls. So on a 7+, outcome goes from failure to mixed success, which is great. And on a 10+, nobody suffers any blowback from that. So Arianwen, what is it that Sal whispers in your ear that draws your attention to whom? Or do you want me to say who reacts?
I want you to say.
Okay, I've no idea, so I'm going to roll 1d6.
Yeah.
In fact, I'm going to roll 2d6 for a reason I will explain in a moment. A 6 and a 3. Okay, different numbers. So I think that it is. I think it's Cinewolf who's not really paying attention. He's still niggling with his sister, and then you say, "Isn't it about time you explained who Sig is?" And Cinewolf goes, laser focused. Helen, this seems odd. Is there a line of inquiry you'd like to pursue?
I'm sorry, I think my brain just isn't working tonight.
You are looking a little tired, my friend. And I'm sorry if that's us.
No, not at all.
Then Solinus, let me come to you, because you brought Sig. You see what's just happened. Where do you want to go with that, or from there?
Well, I think that this is a moment where I'm struck by God's understanding. So I'd like to invoke my gift.
You would invoke your gift. Roll plus favor.
So I have a favor of +2. That's a 10.
10. Okay. So on 7+, they empower your gift, and it becomes clear to you why Cinewolf is bitter. Because he has been chosen as the heir, though Sig is actually the only legitimate heir. It suddenly becomes clear, because they don't. When you look at Sig, you look at the Lord, and there's a similarity between them. And though the twins are as close to identical as a male and female could be, they don't look entirely like him.
Yeah.
And I think that's the root of Cinewolf's bitterness. That he thinks that he knows he's not second best, but he feels like he might be.
Yes, he may be usurped, right? It's a threat to his future. He's bitter because his father.
That it's not straightforward.
Yeah.
Does that seem?
That seems more than fair.
Especially if Sig were. He only recently discovered that, in fact, Sig's the legitimate heir, right? It's like.
Yeah. I think that.
Did you spend favor there just to be on the safe side?
I wasn't sure if I needed to, but
yeah, you do. 7+.
By 1.
Yeah.
Okay. I think it seems as though the honest Lord appears to be unaware of this himself. Because I don't think it would be a mystery to him, I think.
Yeah, exactly.
The twins may be aware of this potential threat. The Lord is kind of oblivious to Stick the boy, because he's too honest. No such crazy child could be his son,
Okay. Sal, you've observed these goings on. No, let me go to Arianwen, because Arianwen hasn't had a chance to phrase an insight. Yes, Arianwen, you set this in motion. All of this has fallen out of it. Have you an idea of a insight?
Yes. Although I don't know how to phrase it appropriately. I think that's why the healer is dangerous, is because she knows, um, the truth. Because, the healer's often like the midwife, right?
Someone else knows the truth,
Yes,
then you've got an open page in terms of who that someone might be. So it could be the healer, but you're not locking yourself in.
right.
Because we know Sig is at the center of this, but
Yes,
I think you want to leave some openings.
yes.
Because
Ariane literally staggers with this insight. I mean, she just like stumbles as if something had pushed her.
and looks up at the sky,
Right.
and there's a glow in the sky. Yes. Um. So I mean, this all came out of going to borrow a boat.
As it always does. As it
So,
always does.
so Sal, where do you want to go from here? Because there's the twins are looking at one another. They're looking at their father. Their father's looking at them. Sig is looking bemused. And then the Cinewolf is looking at Sig. So there's a tense familial moment here. But I don't know what you want to do, Sal.
Well, yeah, what I want to do is ultimately very evil. No, let's concentrate on the boat. I will turn to Solinus and say, while we have become distracted, brother, there is a task at hand.
Look,
This can wait.
I'm not going to make you roll for a boat. Cut to you down on the shore, while Sig fails to juggle pebbles, with a boat. Now, you want to get to the island, but the estuary is between you and them. So you are going to have to deal with that location to start with.
Will it give another insight?
Well, couldn't it? Couldn't it? Because it's
Just want to mechanical it, that's all.
No, I know you don't like to just, use the rules, but certainly the estuary and the island could hold insights.
Yeah, I didn't know whether earlier you used the estuary. No, we haven't used the estuary. Fine, the estuary is still there to be used.
Still
Fine.
there. You have yet to properly engage with the estuary. So let me move the location.
I would probably like somebody else to do the estuary because unholy is up my street, as they say.
Okay. So I've moved locations up. Who wants to take the lead in getting across the estuary? You got a boat? I need to know if Sig is coming with you, or not. Sid, I'm going to keep pausing and looking in your direction because I want to make sure that we, that you've got an opportunity. But I, don't feel the pressure, right? Go with the flow if you want to. But I am going to just say, if you unmute yourself, I will assume that you want to get stuck in. Okay. Okay. So Arianwen, do you feel that this insight means that you should take the lead here, or do you want to hand that off to Solinus?
Always happy to go take the floor against wicked things. The torch of the Lord must be carried into the dark places.
Of course. So now clearly it says here, foreshadow the risk and consequence. The risk is that these are very unpredictable waters. The tide is all over the place. There are currents going left and right. It's a very confusing piece of water. Stretch of water.
Flow that way. Is it unconfused?
Well, yes. I mean, you could try that, I suppose. So you somehow have to kind of avoid the risk this presents. The consequence is that you could end up either in the water and not in the boat, or you could come ashore further from where you'd like to be. Yeah,
Discombobulated.
because maybe it will take you where it wants to go rather than where you want to be. So, Arianwen, what do we see? It seems to me, standing in the prow of the boat, commanding the waters to behave with the power of God, or am I wrong?
No, that's exactly right.
Fine. So let's have you.
I'm in fact pointing at individual billows. You settle down.
It's like tapping them on the head with the staff.
Well,
So
I'm not chastising anyone. I mean,
no, no, no,
they're not wicked. They're not wicked things. They're just unruly.
unruly. Okay. Roll plus favor then, because
Right.
it seems to me that you are relying on faith here.
Indeed. That is a 9.
A 9 on 7 plus spend favor. You manage the risk and avoid the consequences. So you get across, but there is a cost. I think respite is temporary. I think that if you have to escape back across this water, it is going to be just as challenging, if not more so. Yeah. But you make your way. I want each of you to tell me something about the island. Solinus, what's the first thing we notice about the island? Apart from the fact we know it's going to be unholy.
That it is steep, like it's sort of
Steep.
rises up out of the waters, high above the waters around it.
Fine. So you're approaching not a sheer, but a difficult cliff. Arianwen, what else do we notice about this?
It is strangely beautiful. The cliffs themselves have colored patterns in the strata of the rocks, and above there is a lush, gorgeous jungle.
It is the UK, mate. We don't do jungles. Sorry.
Lush woodland. Lush
Lush
woodland.
woodland. Fine.
Yeah, okay. Kellen, what else do we notice? Do we notice anything about these cliffs or about anything else?
I think there are some animals on that island that we wouldn't have expected.
Lions.
Maybe like some small horses.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Horses.
Yeah, where you've got horses, I can put predators. Okay, I like that. And finally, Sal, what is the significant challenge of actually just getting ashore here?
I think it is, though. Solinus sort of put it there. It's these sort of sheer cliffs and nowhere to tie the boat up easily.
Fine. So the boat may be gone. ... Okay. So what I'm seeing, you've made your way through the currents. I'm seeing the boat, kind of bumping against this cliff. Who's going to lead the way up the cliff? Because it's got to be done. So who's going to take the lead getting up this cliff?
The ladies wear skirts, so in modesty, I feel it should be Solinus.
And I think Kellen's is still quite damp. These voluminous layered robes. Solinus?
Yeah, sure. I mean, whenever you ever not said yeah, I'll go first in a game.
Okay. So, are you going to trust in God or yourself?
In myself. God's got bigger things to do than help me up a cliff.
Didn't you used to have a hawk, Solinus?
No. Oh, did
No.
you?
That was a different.
That was a different Solinus.
Different Solinus.
Different. Very, very similar character portrait, I think.
Do you make your way up this cliff by trying to work out the best way forward? Or is this about your skill at climbing?
This is trying to work out the best way up, make sure that the scree doesn't come tumbling down with us. I've got
Yeah.
these three mad women with me. So,
So, okay, let's have...
a witch and a lunatic. So,
I mean, it is the perfect set.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
So let's have you face a challenge, I think, with sense.
Yep, that's 13.
13. Well, I mean, that's effortless. I think it probably takes you longer than you'd hoped because you pick your way up this. And it means that for the most part, you can scramble and not have to climb. On 10 plus, I think you get to the top with advantage.
That's good.
And I didn't check, and I should have, whether Sig is with you.
Yes, Sig is with us. Yeah,
because
the logic about not leaving Sig behind is even stronger now that we know that his siblings are probably the ones who are out to get him.
What, Solinus, is you're the first person up? What is it that immediately makes you feel that this is not a holy place, that this is not a place of God?
The stone circle in the middle of the sort of the forest.
We've not specified how big this island is, so why don't we have a standing stone at the top of the cliff?
Yeah, a monolith.
A monolith. Yeah. A monolith at the top of the... Helen, as you are making your way up behind Solinus, you can't help noticing that there are some striations in the rock face that are strangely reminiscent of the place where you were apprenticed. Because my recollection is that it was a place where a cliff, in certain light, looked like it was stained with blood. It must be said that this place, some of those rocks, some of this cliff, it is reminiscent of that. Okay? It was on, and I probably put it miles away. It was on the setting tab. I'll move it down where you're more likely to see it. You said, I think, strata of the sea-facing rocks form dramatic waves capped by ritual bleeding. Well,
do I notice anything else about this place that would connect this to my roots?
Well, shall we find out? I think this is either look about you or a miracle or a wonder.
I think I'm gonna invoke the other world here.
Ooh, went the crowd. Yes. When you remind us of a time when your burden complicated your life, describe the spirits that reveal themselves so they can tell you what they know, granting you advantage to look about you. So we know that wrath has caused you problems in the past. Can you give us another example of when wrath got in the way of getting the job done?
So this is the reason that I initially left my sisters, the others of my faith. It started with just a simple error in how they performed this simple sacrificial ritual in the shedding of the blood. And that was the first thing that led me to discover more and more things that they did wrong. It wasn't just that they killed the animals before they sacrificed them. It wasn't just that they took advice from heretics of the order. And these things just kept compiling until I flew into what I still believe is a righteous rage and struck one of them down.
I like that. And so with that in your head, as you get to the top of the cliff, let's have you to roll to look about you with advantage. 3d6, take the top two, and See what happens.
What does look about you add, if anything?
Look about you is just the move. So your other world grants you advantage. Oh, you have to look about you with favor, I notice. Sorry. So you can roll 3d6, take the top two and add favor, and we'll determine what you see or feel or whatever else. Oh, 10 plus favor?
It's not showing up for me.
Oh, what
So I
the
don't know what I
dice
rolled.
has? Oh, you rolled a 4, a 6, and a 3. You might need to reload the page. If you haven't used it for a little while, it can get a little bit kind of quiescent.
Yeah. There we go.
Yeah. Oh, that's great, isn't it? So I think I want to tell you something here rather than ask you what you see, because I think it ties into what you've just described. That monolith that Solinus described as he came over the top of the cliff into this with this woodland beyond, that monolith was a place of power for you and for your people and the old gods. And you know that this is a place of power where things were not done wrong. Things were done right here. But still, it feels that it has been polluted with something else. So in the same way that Solinus feels uncomfortable, you feel the unholiness of this place. It is unholy to you as much as it is unholy to the Christ God. Okay? Seem like good information?
This is probably why we were brought together.
And you have advantage as a benefit of that, because you rolled a 10 plus. Arianwen, you come to the top of the cliff. You see the monolith. You see Solinus kind of looking slightly uncomfortable. What is it that makes you uncomfortable as you get to the top of this cliff and see the monolith and whatever is beyond?
I think there's a lion that's over there that's kind of looking at us. Honey.
That certainly is odd.
It's just crouched up there on top of a boulder and it's looking down at us.
Now, we're at a time where lions were often described by travelers. Now, you're calling it a lion. What does it look like?
It is large. It looks like an enormous gray cat with a somewhat oversized head. You know, weighing maybe 500 pounds.
So this is a big,
muscular.
powerful, muscular grey cat. The black cat of Bodmin or something.
Something. It's a lion.
Sal. Yeah, exactly. Because, the lions are in the Bible.
Yes. That's clearly a lion. I don't think I've ever seen a lion before, but that's clearly one.
Exactly so. Exactly so. Sal, you're the last person up. And you sense the power of this place. But as you predicted, it is unholy to others, not to you. So what are you going to do, Sal? Because the others are clearly kind of slightly uncomfortable, at least with this. Kellen looks very kind of curious. Arianwen looks, has seen this creature. And Solinus is looking a little bit kind of, well, this is why I've been brought here. What do you do, Sal? Are you going to take the lead from here on in?
I will sort of brush past my colleagues and say, don't worry, friends. This place is unsettling to some of us. But I have faced this before. I will face it again. Together, I will lead us through.
Arianwen, what insight strikes you like a thunderclap? Unless, Kellen, you want to phrase it. I'd like to give Kellen first choice. But again, I don't want to put you under the spotlight unless you want to be there.
I'll give this to Ariane one.
Okay. What insight strikes you from the time you left the bank to this point?
This is where the doom is coming from. If it's one of those, I'm trying to figure out how to phrase this. It's one of those things where when people do bad things that they shouldn't, when they break a convention strongly enough, um, and it brings down a curse, that sometimes those curses erupt from, not from within their dwelling or nearby to that, but they come from other places, they're sendings.
Okay. Shall we say a place of sendings? Dot, dot, dot.
Yes. This is where curses come from.
Fine. Okay. So Sal, what do we see you do as you make your way to and past the monolith? Because I think I can tell you that now you're up here, the waters of the estuary are getting very violent indeed. So violent, in fact, that there is spume and spray coming up over the cliff face. So I'll give you that as a potential challenge. And what else? There is something here that is best left undisturbed. So how do you want to proceed?
I think we need to sneak up on the thing that should not be disturbed.
Could that be the lion?
I think so. Shouldn't really disturb them.
So the lion has slinked off. The enormous grey cat has slinked off into the woodland. How do we see you leading this group as you sneak? So this is roll plus subtle, unless you've got a better option.
No, I like Sol. I think it's sort of, shh. As we. Luckily, I don't think any of us are really sort of. Any of us are covered in armor, are we?
No, just water. There's just enormous amounts of dampness.
So yes, let's see how we go with that.
Let's do that then.
And when it says, do you think that Jesus was wet for a long time after he got baptized?
At which point I think Sal says, shh.
9.
9. So on a 9, on a 7 to 9, on 7 plus 7 to 9. You're making your way through this undergrowth, and it is lusher than it ought to be. It is peculiarly lush. The scents here are so intense that they're almost they're clogging. And you make your way through some undergrowth, Sal, and there is this cat. What do you do?
Let's kneel down before it and say, "My lord, sorry to disturb you."
Okay, that sounds like an act of faith. Come, let me put my head between your jaws. So what I'm imagining is all four of you come up into this slight clearing. The three of you see Sal get down on her knees and show abseiance to this thing. This sounds like faith to me.
I think it does because you've made no indication that it might actually just not be a wild animal. So bit of faith here. I will clutch the burnt cross that I picked up previously.
You did.
So I will roll with advantage.
I'm going to give you a defense, which is sense of ownership. It believes that it is the top cat hereabouts. And as you lower your head and offer abseiance, we'll take our second break. Back in our seats at 5 past the hour. See you then. Okay, so we pick up then with Black Sal on her knees, and what do? Everybody's watching. Sal, to Faith, can you somehow assuage this creature's sense of ownership of this place with your act of pious humbling? Yeah. So you're aiming to humble them you're out humbling them. So let's have you roll plus fervor.
I'm more humble than you. Ooh, that's 8.
8. Okay, so on an 8. Confront them. 7 plus. It believes you're not a threat. So its sense of ownership is now not an obstacle because you're no threat. Let me see. Roll plus favor, but on 7 plus spend favor. Thank you. They inflict harm established. They use a power. Yeah, I think they use a power. They have a power called Pounce and Throw. This thing leaps entirely over the top of you, grasps Sig in its jaws, and flicks him into the woodland.
Can I protect him?
Go ahead. Roll. I mean, this sounds like either faith, an act of faith, or agility to just react quickly enough.
Doesn't it? I have +1 in faith, so I'm going to go with that. Would that mean that I burn my faith to do that?
You will if you get a 7.
Okay.
So roll some fervor.
Cool. So I will get I get a 7 to 9, so I will burn my faith. As I go, God, no!
On 7 to 9, you expose yourself to some relevant danger, risk, or consequence, even if they have been protected. So its jaws are about to close on Sig. You step in the way, it grasps you and throws you into the woodland. It is a larger than mortal threat. So it does 2 harm.
Cool. And I still have my wearied from before, right?
You do. Yeah, you've not had a rest. Remember, you go all the way down before you go across. So you roll, you've now exactly. So that was quite a nasty knock. So it leapt for Sig, got Solinus, threw Solinus away. Kellen, what do you do? It has 2 defenses left. Muscles like a coiled spring and physically powerful. Just big.
Let me see what my gifts can do real quick. So I think what I'm gonna do is Kellen is not much of a fighter herself, but this new Solinus guy looks like he can at least handle some kind of blade, maybe.
Okay.
So I think I'm gonna pull whatever power is still left that I can connect with in this place and pull it onto Solinus's blade.
Okay.
Maybe it can get past all that
Yeah.
muscle and speed.
So the well-balanced knife, hand, close if thrown, or the hunting bow.
My bow would be quite cool, wouldn't it? You know, the arrows in my quiver, sort of thing, like glowing.
Yeah, bow is probably also a better idea for something this ferocious up close.
Fine. So the intention is to bless it with a bit of advantage. Let's have you roll plus favor to invoke that gift.
Mm. 9.
9? God, blimey. Right. So that works perfectly. Spend favor for the pleasure of it. On 10 plus, pick one. Your gift has greater impact, scope, scale, or duration.
It's 9, not 10.
Oh, 9. Sorry, 9. I beg your pardon. So 7 to 9. Gift is complicated. It takes more time than you expected. I think that you were left at disadvantage, despite the fact that Solinus's arrows are now blessed by the old gods of this place. Fair enough?
Yeah, I think with this place being polluted by its presence, I get some of that crud while I'm trying to pull at the power that's beneath it.
Thank you for giving me a rational reason why that would happen. Ariane, what do you do?
Much as I'd like to hit it with a stick, that seems to be how I've interacted with everything this time. So I'm going to be different, and I'm covering up my head, and I'm going to spout fragments of Bible verses about animals leaving me alone.
Is this speaking in tongues?
And the lion, yes, and the lion would lay down with the lamb, and the lamb would not be hurt, not even if the lion really wanted to hurt the lamb.
And if the lion lay down, the lamb wouldn't hurt it either.
No, the lamb would, it's, it just, she just, and then the Daniel went into the lion's den, and they must have just eaten or something like that because they weren't fond of him, and he got out. And so just all these fragments of times that beasts didn't kill people.
Fine. And if it's okay with you, I'm going to because I've just had a lovely thought, or I hope it's a lovely thought about inserting something about your life before you were touched. I think that there's something about the fatted calf in there. Because last time you talked about somebody in a good dress, somebody in a bad dress and stuff. So, but it works. That's fine. Roll plus favor.
All right, here we go. I'm sorry, that shouldn't have been +1 because my favorite is 0 now. That is an 8.
7 plus. Say who or what's attention you attract and how that places them at disadvantage.
I attract the attention of this beast. It places them at disadvantage because it's confusing.
Yeah, through prey over there. There's Sig, there's you. So it's kind of works for me. 7 to 9. You are so caught up in your own gibberish that you are also at disadvantage on your next action.
Yeah, so I'm covering up my head, so I can't see very well.
And if you can't see it, it can't see you.
Well, at least it can't hurt me, right? Probably. It would be unfair if it hurt me. There we go. That's the conclusion I come to.
Let me come back round to Sal before we have Solinus clambering to his feet and stringing his bow. Sal.
Well, I think as it's clearly distracted, I will sink my dagger. What, do I have a dagger? Yes, I do. No, cudgel. I'll
Cudgel.
whack it.
Whack it. And it's at disadvantage because of that distraction. So you have advantage if you want to take it.
I will.
3d6, top 2, and it sounds like steel to me.
I think it is steel.
Are you going after its coiled muscles or its physical skin?
Yeah, I'm gonna give it the equivalent of a dead leg with my
Fine.
cudgel.
Hamstring it with a cudgel.
Yes. So I rolled a 6, a 4, and a 6. Give me 12 minus 1 gives me 11.
11. Well, that's not bad, is it? So on a 7
Not
plus.
for a -1 skill.
Exactly. So on a 7 plus, you do indeed do that, but I'm going to use a power. The skin begins to break apart along its back. But on a 10 plus, you also say how you force them to weather disadvantage, reduce arm bar and block arm. They still have 1 defense left, so the only option you've got really is to leave them disadvantaged by this.
I will
Yeah?
leave them at disadvantage.
As the skin across its back begins to break open, it's almost as though within that skin is a bag of soil and rubble. And it as it comes out of that, it begins to take on the shape of a humanoid made out of soil, rubble, and stone. And its attention has drifted away from Ariane when back to Sig, who is lying there on the ground, kind of going, ooh. What do you do, Solinus? You have some blessed arrows at work.
I mutter under my breath, God guide my arrow, and heathen blessed though they may be, and I will fire my bow at this lion. Would that be sense or steel?
That would be sense for a missile weapon.
Perfect.
And this is to try and prick it with lots of arrows, I think.
Yeah, that's a 10.
It's a 10. So on a 10, 7 plus, you fill it full of arrows. On a 7 plus, but they pick 1. Yes, I'm going to use reveal true form, which is of a monstrous earthen creature. So everyone who now sees them is at disadvantage. So he's now fully formed. And it does feel like you're completing a set here. We've had water, we've had fire. I couldn't resist earth.
Yes.
Wind.
Sort of a shambling, mossy kind of creature, perhaps.
Yes.
Yeah. But I get a 10 plus. So
you get a 10 plus, and it has no defenses left.
Yeah.
So you could either leave it disadvantaged, or you could immediately gain the opportunity to humble it if it has no defenses. So you could try immediately to humble it with another flight of arrows.
And there is another disadvantage still on the table.
There is.
Which can be transferred. So if you want to roll at 3 dice,
yeah,
go ahead, mate.
Why not?
Well, you're at disadvantage because the reveal true form. It's cancelled, so it'll be a flat.
Yeah. So I will do that then. I will humble them because I think that flurry of the flurry of arrows, perhaps bursting with the green Celtic flames of whatever god Kellen consecrated them to, burn through that lion's illusion, and then as it rears above us, in its true form, I will notch, I think, my last arrow in the quiver, and I will.
Where do you aim it?
Oh, it's got to be for the open maw, that's chasming open, like with a sail.
As if to fully engulf Sig. Yeah, go for it.
Okay. Again, that's still sentenced, I think. That's an 8.
8. So on a 7 plus, they're at your mercy. Do you spare them or end them?
I end them.
Fine. And that's that. It's not a 10 plus. So, Kellen, you're closest to the spirit world. How does this thing subside? What does it look like as Solinus causes it to cease to be? What happens to this great lumbering creature?
I think the specific god I was calling on was uh I don't remember its specific name, but it's basically Thor.
Okay.
Uh and as the arrow goes into its mouth, it crackles apart. And I think the lightning we can see as it courses through this creature and connects it to the ground, but the booming thunder only is heard in the spirit world. And it's with
Great.
that thunder that it disperses like sound.
And Solinus Sig kind of looks up at it, goes, "Ooh." What insight? Who hasn't had an insight in a while? Let's have a look. Helen, I'm going to offer you first dibs, but you're very welcome to poll the table.
I already have an insight that I still don't know what I do with.
No, I passed that on to somebody else. Oh, sorry, have you got one written down somewhere? Do you mean?
Yeah, in my notes at the bottom.
From last time, perhaps. Right.
Yeah.
Oh no, yes, sorry. This is the one that's in your back pocket. Yeah. So there is an insight based on this scene, and you can use that insight any which way you like. So let's start with this scene. Do you want to phrase an insight based on what has just happened?
About the nature of this creature, or
Well, if you have a look at what's on the Linbeck tab right now, we've got 4 insights in place. Someone in the village has made a bargain. Sig is the target of Ildrech forces. Someone else knows the truth. A place of sendings. So you're looking for something that you think you can connect into that. Because what we're trying to do is to collectively build a solution, I guess.
right.
It must be said, it's a knack.
Would something like a perversion of the earth itself be too vague? Or
No, I mean, vague is good because then you can use it any which way. Well, I tell you what, you could build on what we've already got. So we've had a perversion of water, we have a perversion of flame. So a perversion of the elements of the other world. What about that?
sure.
Because that could cut any which way. Okay, so we're currently at +2. We're looking for a +1. You could roll +2 now, or you can look for another insight. What's the table thinking?
How many insights we got that people have got that are yet to be put on there?
Well, right.
I have one.
So we got 2 more. Sorry, I didn't realize we had 2 more insights in our back pocket. So, given Kellen phrased that one, Arianwen,
Yes.
and that one can stay in Kellen's back pocket because you won't need it. So, yeah, what is the insight that you stored from earlier, shall we say? What has suddenly become clear?
Kin strife,
Pinstrife.
which is a very old Celtic thing.
Fine. So
the idea that some interfamily crime, like one relative killing another relative or something like that, has caused a perversion in the system.
Yeah,
has
no, I get that.
disrupted the order of things.
So the bottom line now is, how can you string these insights together to have a chance of identifying who or what embodies the darkness, because you need something to embody it so you can then take it out. So, who would like to kick off? Is there anyone who wants to volunteer? I'll untick these and retick them as I go. So, who'd like to make a start? Any volunteers?
Let's just go through the NPCs we've got then.
Yeah. Well, they're on that same tab.
Yeah, we've got Lord,
Honest Lord Bjornfrith.
the Bitter Ear, the Dishonest Champion, Sig, probably not Sig, Aida, or Ada, yeah, Dangerous Healer.
Who's angry about something, but when Ariane went tried to work out what, it all went a bit pear-shaped.
Oh, we'll say what seems to me to be a thread running through this, which is that if Sig is the true heir, in fact, Sig is Bjornfrith's child, so that means that Lady Bjornfrith, who is no longer with us, had a child which Lord Bjornfrith was probably told didn't survive when she was taken to her bed. And Sig was given by Eotenweard to someone else to raise, and turned out to be simple.
Alun.
Yes, Alun. Touched. Because perhaps by the circumstances of his coming into the world.
Now this is a very fine narrative, but what I need you to do is to connect two of the ones we've got. So how do you want to, if that's what you've got in mind, Ariane, which two of those insights do you want to connect on the way to that? And then I'll go round the table seeing if anyone can build in that or a different direction.
So, someone else knows the truth, I think, is one of those that
Okay.
Yara knows what who is really there. Not, obviously Kinwolf does too, but
Okay. So the someone else in this is Iada.
yeah, Eada. And
Fine.
and I think the other one that is connected here is Kinstrife. This is, an attempt to I don't, I'm not necessarily saying that Lady Bjornfrith was killed by anyone, but at the very least, the existence of her child is attempted to be erased, which is a crime against the order.
Okay. So this is among the blood of Bjornfrith.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Oops, make that a bit bigger. There we go. Okay. Who would like to go next? What does Kellen think? Do you want to go from there to one of the
So
others?
I don't know if this turns the previous theory on its head or if it's adding to it,
The joy
but
of it is that the theory isn't the theory until it's finished.
Yes.
I think I'm not referring to any of these in any specific order, but I think that what we've seen with Sig, as we've spent some time with him, is that he is in some way connected to the other world. He can see those things. Uh, so I think someone else noticed that he has the eye for these things, and they fear that if he gets any sort of master over these things, he'll become possibly a shaman king even, and then he can get into power even while being a loon.
So
And
let me
that's why they're afraid of him.
Okay, so does that tie into someone in the village has made a bargain either to get him noticed or to keep him from being noticed, his talents? Or is there another one you're heading for?
I think that Calwiga has, uh, instead of actually slaying the horrific beast she claims to, she has actually made a deal with them.
Okay. So someone, and I'm going to put Calwiga question mark, because it's not over till it's over. Let me go next. What about Solinus?
So the bargain was made by Calwiga.
Well, that's a question mark. That's not a guarantee, because
Okay, so
but someone has bargained.
The bargain was made to afflict Sig with this lunacy, or
Keep him from his rightful
yes,
whatever.
yeah. And I think that was I think that was in fact Ada, the dangerous healer, who traveled to this place of sendings to make that bargain.
So the island, which is now putting Iada in the frame. Yeah. So Black Sal, is there a way that you can split the difference here between whether it was Calwiga who made a bargain using Iada as an intermediary, or what?
Um,
Because we
well,
need to
clearly,
end up with a identifiable someone or something.
um, yeah. So I'm going to use Sig as the target of Eldritch forces, and basically he's been befuddled.
Gosh, haven't heard that since the last time I played RuneQuest. Okay, befuddled. And then let me come back round to Arianwen. So what I've got at the moment is that there is strife among the blood of Bjornfrith. Calwiga may have incited Iada, who knew the truth, to target Sig with eldritch forces from this island so that he was kept befuddled. My question is, are you better placed to explain how this is a perversion of the elements of the other world, or is Kellen?
Well, I'm happy to cede to Kellen, but kinstrife is like that. Kinstrife is such an outrageous crime
Mm.
that the world itself rebels against it. So that by and of itself is a perversion. The land, there have been famous cases where kinstrife has, brought down curses on the land, pestilences, or, brought, chaos into, the world. And so nothing, this is keeping him from reclaiming his birthright is an outrageous crime.
So,
And
so
that's been,
Kellen, do you want to tie this back to elements of the other world, because that was yours and it is your area of expertise. Because what I think we've got at the moment is that the kin strife among the blood of Bjornfrith has led to someone, maybe Calwiga or via Iada or alone, has incited Iada, who knows the truth, to go to the island and produce some sendings that have targeted Sig, so he is befuddled. Is there a way in which you want to use this one to split the difference between Calwiga or Iada as our villain? Because that's what I'm seeing at the moment. We somehow need to know who's at the root of it.
I feel like we've built up Sinwolf and Diada working together to keep the true heir away from, and all of Sig's life has been, beset by this it's this curse. But now that he's coming of age, perhaps Finwolf has escalated
So
matters.
so it sound so that collectively Calwiga and Eada have perverted that monolithic place of power to reach this end. Yeah.
Yeah.
Who are we going to confront? Where and when? So is it Calwiga that you want to confront with Eada as a side dish, or the other way around?
I think it's Kenilworth.
Oh,
Actually,
Kenilworth.
I think so.
Oh, because
He is the
he's the
heir.
bitter one.
He is the recipient of all of this.
Okay.
I think he knows exactly what is going on. He could have, with a word, have derailed it.
Okay. Unless somebody tells me not, I'm going to go with Kinnerwolf, using Eada's otherworldly connections.
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
I think his twin may well have guessed that something like that was afoot.
Okay.
But I suspect that she is condoning it rather than actively involved in it.
Is it your intention to confront Kinnerwolf as soon as you get back to the village, or to wait until nighttime, or tomorrow, or what? Because I'm going to say now.
Yeah, let's go with now.
I've partly
No
got
time like the present,
I've partly got an eye on the clock.
Yeah.
and nighttime is always a good time.
Yeah.
Okay.
I just mentioned one thing here in the wake of the recent events. Ariaman scrabbles in the ground and thrashes about, and says, "My name's not Angarad. Leave me alone."
Right.
Very well. We will.
Yeah, everyone drifts
I mean,
away.
she cries us out as if in fear and terror.
Where is Kinnerwolf going to be when you confront him?
In Aida's hovel.
Okay. Which suggests, therefore, that Eada is going to be there as well as the NPC president. Yeah?
Yeah.
What is it? What's the greatest fear? Somebody wants to tell me what will go wrong here.
But they'll unleash dark magic in the Lord's Hall.
The Frith will have us all taken up and hanged.
Unleash hell in brackets. Okay. Who wants to roll the dice? I'll do it right. Yeah, go ahead. Arianwen, roll 2d6 plus 3, I think. So what could go wrong?
Nothing.
Okay, so on 10 plus, the scene opens exactly as the heroes framed it, but each hero also describes how they begin the scene at advantage. So as you approach Eada's hut, we know that they're both going to be in there. Sal, how do you come to be at advantage? Is it because of where you are or what you're doing? Or
I think it's because my lord gives me insight.
fine. So you know what's inside there. Yeah? Okay. Solinus, what grants you advantage as we enter this climactic scene?
The shadows at the side of the hall.
Fine. Hut. We're at the hut. Arianwen, what grants you advantage?
They have the whole armor of God, the shield of faith, the breastplate of righteousness, the sword of the spirit.
And if the worst comes to the worst, the fist of God.
Well, and I still have my stick because, where will I find another stick like this if I lose this one?
Helen, what about you? Is it the shadows? Is it your sure-footedness in the dark? What is it that...
I think I've got the fair winds of that place recently cleansed, at my back.
The other world is watching. Fine. Who is it? Is the objective here going to be burst in on them into this hut or drive them out?
Burst in on them as they are talking about their evil plot.
Fine. I'm certain that Sal and Solinus and Kellen are thinking about the best way to come at this when Arianwen just bursts in. So Arian, you burst
Point
in.
a finger and yell, confess.
You may gasp as we come upon you.
So, okay. You're focusing your attention on Yada or Kinnewolf?
Kinnewolf.
Kinnewolf, right. So, his principal defense is driven, or unique one is driven by bitterness. So what you're trying to make me feel guilty, not bitter?
Yes.
I think that is how good. It's either subtle or good old favor. An act of faith or subtle. Go for it then. Roll for subtle.
Subtle.
And you have advantage.
Oh, I have advantage, which is good because my subtle is mediocre. 9.
9. On a 9, he's gone from bitterness to, oh God, I've been caught out. Yes, I'm
straight.
So driven by bitterness is gone. Who's next in? Solinus, or are you going to stand off with your bow?
I'm waiting for anything to turn violent, I think.
Okay. Kellen, what about you? Arianwen has rushed in. All thoughts of planning ahead is gone. What do you do?
I'm going to turn things violent.
In what way?
I'm going to get in there, just like my, what's it called? The cudgel high in hand, and I'm just going to rush in, pissed off to all hell, and I'm going to smack Ada across the brow.
Oh, right, okay. I count her as a dangerous commoner. She has stubborn bloody-mindedness is her only defense. So let's beat that stubborn bloody-mindedness out of her by hitting her hard with a cudgel. Roll plus steel.
All right.
3d6. Remember, you've got advantage on the first one.
Let me roll one more then.
Yeah, and we'll add 5 to it, I think. That's a 10. So on a 10, she is no longer bloody-minded. She's surprised. And she kind of backs away. Clearly, they are both entirely surprised. Sal.
Let's go with a bit of hellfire. So I'll say my advantage because hellfire's already at advantage on the first hit.
Okay.
So yes, let's. So my favor is only 0 at the moment. So it's not with any kind of
Unleash hell, literally.
Oh, that's not a good roll, is it? That's very bad.
So is that a fail?
Yeah. 5. Yeah, that's the best on 3 dice.
Well. Fancy that. So goodness me, on a 5 doesn't happen often. Mark Shade, take harm as established. I think Eada was about to throw a cast iron cooking pot at Arianwen, and it catches you instead. So you can take 1 harm. And they choose 1 from the 7+ lists. I think she unleashes her power. It is her power of the elements. And the only one we haven't seen so far is wind. So from nowhere, she conjures a storm of items that fly into your face, driving you out of the hut, Sal. Kellen, you've turned it violent. Sal went in, has come back out, Solinus. What are you going to do?
I duck in and I open fire on the witch.
It's very cramped in there. It's just a hut. So it's disadvantaged to use a missile weapon in here unless it's a knife.
Yeah, I'll throw my knife. Why not?
I thought you might. So let's have you do that. And this is he is
I think what happens is that as Sal gets blown back out through the hut, I slide underneath and fling the dagger, right? Like,
fine. Target Iada or Kinewolf?
Yada's the one doing the magic, right? Or
Yeah.
Yeah, I target Yada.
Yeah, she's got no defenses left. You go straight to humble.
Yeah, okay.
So let's have you roll plus. Sounds like
10.
sense to be.
That's a 10.
Hell, blimey. Yeah, she's at your. Does it humble her or kill her?
It humbles her. It sticks into the hand that she's using to weave this around, and she collapses to the ground, in pain. Yeah.
Yes. I won't bother asking you what the 10 plus is because it's not going to play any part in this afternoon, this evening. So, Kellen, you set things to violence. Kinewolf is the only remaining foe, and Kinewolf, all he's got left is experienced in war. How are you going to disabuse him of his experience in war? An old lady's already made him feel a bit odd.
I'm going to, after having drawn some blood from the brow of Ida, I'm gonna let the cudgel fall to my side, and I'm just gonna step close to him and give him a good old woman stare.
I mean, I'll give you a choice here. This is either an incredibly cunning, subtle plan, it is either a calculated effort with sense, or it is do not mess with me, steal. Take your pick.
It is a calculated effort. I'm trying to hold back as much of my wrath as possible and trying to cash in on it instead.
Fine. Do not mess with me. Go ahead, roll with your chosen attribute because you really have an open choice here. And oh no, the advantage has been used up, hasn't it?
Ouch.
Oh, gee whiz.
Optimus.
Ariane, when you're in there,
Yeah,
you fancy helping a hero at all?
I do.
How?
So she's not being violent, right? Kellen, you're not being violent?
No,
No,
I'm deliberately holding it back.
like a coiled
I
spring.
snap my fingers in his face. Pay attention. But
I-
pay attention when someone is talking to you.
I'll give you the same free choice: steal, subtle, or sense. That's either beautifully calculated, incredibly subtle, or it's just really scary.
I think it's steal with advantage
Go for it.
because he is unrighteous.
He is indeed unrighteous.
And it's a 9.
Don't hurt me. Do you
I turn to
finish
Kellen
him?
and say, don't you yes. I mean with the lecture, not a beating.
Yeah, okay. But he receives some mercy from you.
Yeah, I take him by the ear and I'm going to drag him to the hall so that he can confess.
I think we epilogue from there, to be honest. I just want to know. Tell me what happens. Yeah. So who wants to start by telling me what happens in the triangle of Bjornfrith, Kinewolf, and Cadwiga? Sal, do you want to give me that one?
Yeah, I think Bjornfrith is very displeased with his twins. Now it's come to light. I mean, is he befuddled anymore?
Well, I'm asking you specifically about that triangle.
Yeah, he's very displeased with them and says, yeah, you have my displeasure. You are no longer welcome in this hall. You must wander the lands.
He exiles his twins. Okay. Ariane Wen, what about Eada? What's the fate of Eada, the dangerous healer? And it appears witch.
Well, I mean, there's nothing wrong with being a witch. It's all what you do with it. I think she's committed I mean, she's not even kin, so she's committed an unpardonable crime. And I think she is I think she is put to death.
Burn the witch.
Well, no, I don't think they burn her. I think this is a seaside town. I think she's probably pitched into the
Oh, drowned.
and she's drowned.
Wow. Gosh, harsh justice.
A good
Well,
offering to my lord.
she used supernatural events to harm people. I mean,
Yeah.
it's too dangerous a person simply to exile.
Solinus, tell me something about Sig or the future of the inheritance.
I think that Sig still remains a strange child, but one who is no longer lost entirely to the other worlds. One who now stands between the two, and is, perhaps much like our dear friend Kellen, a mystic of sorts, able to
Okay.
a Celtic village, isn't it? So
It's a Saxon village, sadly.
so they don't, but they worship, are they Christians?
They're Woden the Allfather.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah, the other one around. Yeah.
Kellen, what about the fate of the island, the otherworldly disturbance around this place? What have you got to tell me about that?
Uh, I think a good metaphor for what's going on in the other world in relation to this place is that the circulation is back. Like it's at first the very tingly sensation you get when the blood comes back rushing in,
Mhm.
and after a while that turns into that the waters bring in bountiful of fish close to the waters as this evil has been cleansed.
The earth becomes more fruitful. And I can't resist the idea of as you leave, some rain, a rainy squall comes in, and it dampens the cliff, and it looks much more like the place of power that you remember that we hinted at. And so quick stars and thorns, I suppose, but any stars. Paul, any stars?
Yeah, some great play around the table. I know time's of the essence, so I'll keep it dead short. So yeah, some great play around the table. Uh, I still think, Alan, express your burden. I think when you activate that, it should have, as it used to have, a bit of a lingering effect.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah, it's a good thing. I like it's now tighter. But I think that one, if you do activate it, it's going to have some, at least until you can reset it again.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Will, I appreciate this has been a one shot for you, but any stars?
No, I mean, I enjoyed it. I enjoy anything where we immediately go into, rescuing, helping, action. Particularly in a one shot, you want to get to the action, right? Like the inciting incident, rather than the slow paced mystery. And I think that it worked this time. I felt that the dealing with the water and the squall and everything, it did lead to somewhere, but it took a little while
To get there.
Get there. And I think sometimes with the opening supernatural move and the fact that we all contribute to it, sometimes, and we say it means it's a bit aimless for a little while, like when I feel like there are loads of really strong hooks in terms of like what could be going on and whatever, right? And I'm not sure it's there in terms of like really setting those up without, like basically, I was like every single thing I wanted to revolve around Sig because that gives us a single thing to focus on as opposed to a big sprawling whatever.
Yeah, my star to you would go for convincing me to leave Sig in that second insight, actually.
Yeah, and I mean, I feel like there's a way of tweaking those a little bit to make them a bit more dramatic on one side, like set up to be like a mystery on one side versus a threat on the other, versus, like open up a bit.
Fair enough. Sinner, any stars, any wishes, any rights, any wrongs?
Uh, man, I mess up at this stage every time.
Well, it is getting on for midnight, isn't it?
It is.
There is no sweat. No sweat. Brandon.
So, I agree that that sort of initial engagement, what went on a bit. But otherwise than that, I thought that the pacing was tight, and excellent. And I do like the way that, at least, the way you're running it, that it kind of uh, has the ability to hop from point of interest to point of interest in such a sharp fashion. Now, obviously, where there's more time, the games master could interpolate some more personal things and such like that. And I recognize that this was, um, a curtailment of the campaign and a one shot for Will. But it showed that the strength, which is that you could actually get through a whole mystery to a satisfying degree in one go, which is not something that a great many of these sorts of things can do. They always feel a little crushed, and the fact that this doesn't feel crushed means that the structure of its the bones are very sound, and I appreciate that.
Yeah, I have to say it's run very well as a 4 hour one shot in a convention setting. So yeah, I'm quite pleased with that. So thank you for that. So yeah, stars to all of you folks for one being patient with the fact that this 5-session series is now only 3. Thanks, Will, for turning up, even though it was for a one shot. And I play with Paul and Will and Brandon often. Sinner, I hope we'll play again together soon. But with that,
I have one very an unformed suggestion, just something to put in your mind. With regards to the Loon, you have this mechanism with where you learn something about your life before you were touched. And it'd be very cool, not necessarily in a short shot like this, but in perhaps a longer campaign, to have some structure around that.
Yeah.
Like a flashback scene or something like that to the memory before, because I built up quite a picture of what who Ariane 1 really was. And being able to express that in the game would have been cool.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. They're a bit unstructured, all of those at the moment, but I take your point. Thank you.
That's all. Thank you.
And I will